Get focused and combine it with patience. Once you discover what you want to do and what you want to be, it might take some time. So patience is key.
The bamboo yera nai doa bi anan zongo lep kamona. Anjo okwa.
But to the youth, I say seek to add value to yourself. Add value to yourself. Whether it is in terms of developing your business, academics, whatever, add value to yourself, and therefore you'll be able to move on in life.
You can look up to somebody like a role model, somebody that you think has made an impact in life.
So why not join me, Abdul-Jalil Naabeli, a son of Musa Kumo, as my guests and I thrill you to life-changing stories. Thank you so much for joining me again on Sagani TV on My Northern Achiever with me, Abdul-Jalil Naabeli, a son of Musa Kumo. It is 2020 and we can't thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enough for bringing us to 2020. Many were those who couldn't make it to this particular year. And so we thank God for living our lives up to this particular point. And we pray for longer lives and prosperity in 2020 and beyond. Like we do it every Friday, I have another important Northern personality with me. A personality who has been very selfless. All that he does is to try to add something to the people of the North positively. And also, he has been doing a lot for himself and for the country at large. I'm going for a very quick commercial break. I'll be back shortly after, and then I introduce this guest, and then we start the program. Don't go away, stick and stay. We'll be back shortly. Every week, my team and I work tirelessly to bring to you prominent Northerners, one at a time. They tell us their stories of how they grew up, the struggles they have been through, and how they attained greater heights in life.
I used also to paint Ankura.
What didn't I say? I showed so many things.
Further, they give pieces of advice to the youth and parents alike that, if adhered to, will change society positively.
I job here. This only Bonle.
It's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice.
Now, you must trust in yourself, believe in yourself, have confidence in yourself.
You must always pray for people to succeed in their various fields. Then Allah will give you what He thinks is best for you.
Wherever we find ourselves, let's see how do we support each other.
Young people must learn to spend within their means, and to grow, always think before you spend.
So why not join me, Abdul-Jalil Naabeli, a son of Musa Kumo, with your family and friends every Friday at 8:30 p.m. on your favorite TV station, Sagani TV on My Northern Achiever, as my guests and I thrill you to life-changing stories. Follow me on social media at Jalil Naabeli, like our Facebook page, and subscribe to our YouTube page, both at My Northern Achiever, for present and past videos, as well as more info. My Northern Achiever. Thank you so much for staying with me on My Northern Achiever on Sagani TV. My name is Abdul-Jalil Naabeli, a son of Musa Kumo. And today, like I said before, a great personality, a selfless man who always want to see smiles on people's faces, no matter where you come from, whether he knows you or not. Today, my guest on the show is none other than Alhaji Prince Imoro Andani, the former Northern Regional Minister and the board chairman of the Ghana Integrated Iron and Steel Development Corporation. Alhaji, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for making up time to speaking to us today. And I am particularly elated because when I always have people like you on the show, it makes me feel very, very, very good. Because I believe that by the end of this particular episode, a lot of the younger ones would learn so much from you, so that at least we can put it in practice and make society a better place for all of us to stay in. But I want us to start with this particular question. I ask almost all my guests this question. Who is Prince Imoro Andani?
Prince Imoro Andani is a Ghanaian,
Okay.
a Dagomba, and I descend from the royal gate of Dagomba.
Okay.
My father was a chief of Vogo
Okay.
and a diplomat, who served the country abroad as an ambassador to Sierra Leone and Burkina Faso. My mother is a humble old lady who still lives.
Wow.
She's called Hagia Dibata.
Wow.
She's now about 95 years old, but
Wow.
still going strong. I'm married to Katumi, Abdullah, and Andani, and we have 4 children, 4 boys.
Wow.
And I happen to be one of the guys who married very early. Not usual with educated people. So I had my firstborn at the age of 24.
Incredible.
Who now works with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And my youngest son is now in university first year.
Wow.
I'm a happy family. And I've worked my life, as you said, with people who matter most to me. That is the vulnerable in society. I set up Management Aid. I founded Management Aid, known as MAID.
Yeah.
That worked over 15 years supporting women groups and youths.
Okay, so before we come to talk more about Management Aid and other things that you have done, let's stay a little with the family background and your education. Growing up in a royal palace, so to speak, I know things will not be as same as it will be for those of us who are from normal homes. What kind of strengths and weaknesses were there in the royal family?
Yes, you've said it rightly. Polygamy is known in our society. It's even more with royal families. My dad was married to 6 women. Of course, when you take it in the Dagom tradition, he had nearly the lowest number of women as a chief.
Okay.
Because some chiefs go up to 30 and 40. But my father had 6 wives.
I believe largely because he was a Karachi.
Largely because he was educated.
Yeah.
And then he left the world with 19 children. At the time of his death, about 3 or so, or 4, about 4 were still at school going age. Growing from a palace is not quite easy. You grow with everything around you, all the superstitions. You are tied down to different religions.
Yeah.
The tradition, you have the traditional gods, you have your religion of Islam, and it's open. You have to make a choice. I started my life as a Christian.
Wow.
I attended a Catholic school, Boho Primary School, and the only school was a Catholic school.
This is interesting.
I even had a name. My name was George.
Okay.
I never became a Muslim until I went to middle school when I met colleagues. In fact, what inspired me to become a Muslim is rather what discourages many people from becoming Muslim.
Okay.
It was the way the Muslims sat together to break their fast that attracted me.
Wow.
And so I decided to join them. And then I also attended Tolong Middle Boarding School. So I've had a very interesting experience.
Okay.
And so when I went back to my village, my best friend in the village was somebody who was very learned in Islam, but was mentally derailed.
Wow.
And so he was my very good friend, and he taught me how to read and to understand Islam and to pray. So even the man who helped me to become a Muslim himself was mentally derailed. And then, so I attended Vogo Primary School. From Vogo Primary, I went to Tolo Middle School.
Okay.
And then I moved to Ghana Secondary School.
Okay.
From Ghana Secondary School, I moved into IPS, the school, because I wanted to graduate as a professional accountant.
I see now why almost all your children are all Ghanaians.
Yes.
Yes. In fact, it's the best choice to make.
Yes,
Damascans will always make noise, but thank God. Right. So I am particularly happy about this particular revelation because a lot of we, the younger ones, would never even know. I'm sure even your contemporaries who didn't grow up around Wao would not know that you were once a Christian. Yeah. And I think it is a big revelation only on My Northern Achiever on Sagani TV. Now, what was your position amongst the male children your dad had?
In fact, in terms of boys, By the time he died, I became his second born.
Okay.
But if my other brothers lived, I had a brother I lost in Ghana school.
Okay.
Yakubu Andani.
Okay.
He was senior. And then I had a brother called Tanku who also died.
Okay.
So if the two left, I would have been my father's
fourth male child.
But then my brother, who was his eldest son, was the fifth born of my father.
Okay.
From a different mother.
Okay.
But the firstborn of my father in boys were direct siblings.
Oh, okay.
My mother was the second.
The second. Okay. All right. Now, I asked this question because I don't know. Even let's say you were the second born, are you eligible to any of the namship?
Yeah, surely. In Gabon, every son of a chief qualifies. Incidentally, in some cases, even the younger ones even occupy bigger places. Yes, because I still think that I have a lot more to offer to society.
Okay.
The places that I'm supposed to occupy are generally high in terms of Gabon qualification. And such positions, I saw it through my father. Even in his time, you were allowed to become an ambassador. But my father never wanted mainstream politics because of his impressions about politics.
Yeah, sure.
So I can be a chief, I'm qualified, but in God's time.
Yeah. Okay. Now, chat labna te boanya. Ayana achang Ganasco. To Ganasco ma anyi denne. Yapolo ka chang.
Nda chang la Ganasco, ni Ganasco kan chang IPS, no then UPS.
Okay.
I started to do accounting. And then I decided to join this retirement.
Okay.
Work
okay.
So ndanya like mba secretary.
Okay.
So on kwarma can nda be kuma tool that tractor.
Okay.
Then tunkul nang le biala ka muno sunsun kat agri na return in level school. So holidays ko kan da so ka chang IPS. Mira chang la IPS ma nan professional accountant.
Okay.
Because the time brother da kun yala banker ka ye chartered
so can inspire
ma. And me no yasna life ne. Mborman nan achieve heights. Mborman na borman ne but yeah, because mba wus ma ka yelma ne ayasna yin pa ma ayan tum ka tum le ya ka yelma nan ban sin sama nan kona man ce kamti yan kan ban kono
karnya yin
wana te kan biya ban
Allahu akbar.
So those all kan yelto yan bola ma kan yan yan to song yulen to so bi ba sham song ba those all ne ra kun changle intinara yelo me yan borne tuma. Ama Indian Tuntuma office. Nira kuna mbawunda nyala tumatuma. This also ndanya Mr. David Anina kwa. Obe GNTC stores. So no kulichang okuza machang yalma meno ya mama as an accountant. But kata ma UK kan teachata. Kan sa mbatune. Kayina na kan yalmba yambo borna tuntuma. Mborna kulu bwana mama nuna tuma. Kazana ngamani.
Allahu Akbar. In those days, that there was jobs all around, and you decided that you don't want to go into. Now, this is a big lesson to any youth watching right about now, because these days that even the jobs are scarce. We come out from school, and all we are looking up to is white-collar jobs, which are not even available. But look at the time. Alhaji had the opportunity to work for government or for any other institution, but he decided that no, I want to stand on my own family and be able to, support other people. I think we should be learning from this.
So at the age of 25, I got a brand new tractor through my father's influence.
Wow.
Father had to guarantee me at a bank. So I got a bank facility and I bought a tractor and decided to go into commercial farming. Being educated and well educated by that standard, I became a member of the farmer politics.
And all these times, it was still in the north, around
Tamale.
Okay.
Farms. Some of my farms were involved. I also had farms around Tijo.
Okay.
So I was battling between the two.
Wow.
It wasn't too easy, but I've always believed, like my father advised me, that whatever I intend to do,
you have to do it to the best of your knowledge.
that even if my skills can only make me a sweeper,
then you
I
must
shouldn't
do
look
it
down
to the
upon
best
that.
of your
I should try to excel, and that any job you do and distinguish yourself, you will gain recognition.
Wow.
And that has been my spirit in life.
I love this, and I believe that everyone watching right about now is learning as well. Now, let's continue around the jobs that you have taken. You know, I want us to take it into two folds. You have been a politician along the line, and so for now, I want us to talk about all the jobs that you have taken, or all the jobs that you have done that are actually not politically oriented. Then we'll come back later to talk about all the political you know, leadership positions that you have taken.
Right.
So from these farms, how did it generate into management aid and, you know, all of these other things? Or did you go back to school along the line?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
As a farmer, it had never been easy, but I have the passion for it.
Okay.
At a point in time, just some few months before my dad's death, he spoke to me and asked me if I were making it in farming. I said, no, it was difficult. He told me to live it. So I said, would you pray for me? He said he would. And he believed if I took up to any new job, I was going to make it. So immediately he told me that I registered as a building contractor, went into construction. Lo and behold, you know,
under what name?
Under Andy Company Limited. Andy. So my company was known. So many friends call me Andy, Andii.
Okay.
And the Andy was just to abbreviate Andani and Imoro.
Okay.
Yes. So when I formed that company, I got my first job in 1998, which was 11-point-something million cedis wholesale.
Wow.
And that was a lot
That was
of money.
huge. That was huge.
Because I bought my first car at the middle of my project at 110,000.
Wow.
After I was paid 3-point-something million.
Wow. Wow.
And so that was when I did my first house.
So what happened to that company? Is it still in existence?
The company still exists. I've been speaking to my son to try and get it up because we started and we bought our first house through that.
Wow.
And so while in construction, I got myself involved in politics. And then it became a problem because then it was an era that didn't favor me politically.
Yeah.
So I wasn't getting jobs. Then I had a mate who came from Switzerland who was lecturing, and we grew up together.
Okay.
Who said to me, he believed I could make it if I go into development work because back in school he knew my strengths.
Okay.
And he emphasized the strengths. So he introduced me to an uncle, Dr. Mobson, who is known in development fraternity.
I had him on my show, I think about some few months ago.
Yeah, Dr. Abdul-Jalil. So I met him and then he gave me the guides. Then I reflected and remembered another friend, Dr. Yakubu Alasa, who was the MP for Miam. I grew up with him, we were mates. In fact, he was my mate in secondary school. Direct mate and very close friends. And when I formed Management Aid, I made him the board chair. So
is it Dr. Yaku who was one under NDC?
NDC.
Deputy
Agriculture. Yes, very good friend of mine. And so the two of us put our minds together and we developed a proposal based on the advice I got from Dr. Mobson. And as soon as I rolled, it was not easy though. And when I rolled out the applications to different embassies, the first funding I got was from UNICEF, incidentally.
Wow.
And they gave me some funding. And then Danida, the Danish embassy, gave me funding. I implemented it very well. And then they increased my budget. I did it very well. And so they offered to give me a much bigger budget. And I told them I couldn't. And they looked at me and said, why would you say you can't? We know when they are doing. I told them I didn't think I had the professional capacity
to be able to
handle that budget. So they asked me what they could do for me. I said, maybe sharpen my skills by giving me an opportunity to study. So they said, okay, they will take me to Denmark. They had colleges. I said, no, I wanted to do it in an African context. So I chose to go to Zimbabwe.
Wow.
So I attended Orab Zenzele College where I did a diploma program in NGO management and grassroots development.
Wow.
And that was the point I began to shoot in the profession because I had all what it took to be effective. I delivered very well. And over the period, Danila had given me grant over $4 million, which is unusual, you know. And then other agencies like UNDP, GTZ, people were funding me left and right. what makes my job in development was when I decided to go into politics.
Wow.
Because each donor called me and said, look, your gifted area is development. You are good at it. You are delivering. Please stay and we'll continue to increase your budget. I refused. And that was when all my donors decided to come down. I understand that because as a development person, I was very open. I help people without political boundaries were not a problem.
Yes.
Whatever boundaries you didn't have to follow, you broke them and helped those who needed it. But they knew in politics, I naturally would be a bit more biased. And so that's how it came. Then the issue of politics came in. Actually, just because I also supported widely, definitely I was known across, because I was working in nearly all the districts in the northern region.
Okay.
And then internationally, I was also very well known because I attended a lot of international conferences and presented, even those days, I mean, any letter I got, they would say Dr. Andani. Because by virtue of the presentation, they thought
you had an PhD.
Yes, and so they started sending me intern students. And I remember supervising a PhD student, even when I didn't have a degree at the time, because I had a diploma at the time. So I was so effective. Then when I joined politics, I thought that there was a need for me to actually do a master program. So I went to IMPA and did a master program in leadership and governance.
Okay, so
I had a lot of other short courses.
Yes, so we will come to talking a lot more about some of these things after this commercial break. But before then, just a quick one. At the time you wrote the proposal with Dr. Yakubu, did he know you were an NPP member?
Oh, Dr. Yakubu knows. You see, let me tell you an interesting story.
No, we'll come back to continue with that particular story. Because I asked this question because, these days it is very rare to see somebody in NPP and another in NDC coming together to do something for the sake of development.
I put a scenario of my friends, to be honest with you, my best friends probably are in NDC.
So we are going to come back after this very quick commercial break, and then Alhaji will tell us more about how he's collaborated with people from the other divide of the political environment. So don't go away, stick and stay. I am Abdul-Jalil Naabeli. You are on My Northern Achiever on Sagani TV. We're back shortly. Every week, my team and I work tirelessly to bring to you prominent Northerners, one at a time. They tell us their stories of how they grew up, the struggles they have been through, and how they attained greater heights in life.
I used also to paint Ankara.
What do you guys saw? I showed so many things.
Further, they give pieces of advice to the youth and parents alike that, if adhered to, will change society positively.
It's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice.
Now,
you must trust in yourself, believe in yourself, have confidence in yourself.
You must always pray for people to succeed in their various fields. Then Allah will give you what He thinks is best for you.
Wherever we find ourselves, let's see how do we support each other.
Young people must learn to spend within their means. And to grow, always think before you spend.
So, why not join me, Abdul-Jalil Naabeli, a son of Musa Kumo, with your family and friends every Friday at 8:30 p.m. on your favorite TV station, Sagani TV, on My Northern Achiever, as my guests and I thrill you to life-changing stories. Follow me on social media at Jalil Naabeli, like our Facebook page, and subscribe to our YouTube page, both at My Northern Achiever, for present and past videos, as well as more info. My Northern Achiever, time is mine. So, the Nanyas Pama Nakubo, My Northern Achiever, Sagani TV, so on the Abdul-Jalil Naabeli, Bamusa Kumo Dapala. Kazungo Dapsolo, me water money. Better to do one inside to go some cabinet or Ankara, and maybe in the course of program, tin lab example, Ankara sham. But you see, the Dagbang to do one, The man later adika dadam shapfune. Karimala kamani. Hale somebody in the Poba Shampton and Zamba Pani man. Those who cut my northern achiever, yina. That is all water woman, so comes as a cat a bounty, but no footing at it. Kawawa bound come and burn no footing shall titima. Inshallah to ba Puya Kapai. To Alaji Yarme to Poikatachang to Vukama. I did feel I would come and I mean Dr. Yakubu, young former MP, in that old lamb from the Tumasham, Kunye Liam Nira, Kanye Wabunira. The Namanya Asampam, Domin Zungo, the Zoya Pamka, Kaswe, be Waboka Sobilium, Bazanga Tabliabage, Yentai, Haltizan Tabliab Dumba, Ka, the two Malia Pam. And the board actually the Punakatin Sasu, we shall amend as anti to Zungo politicians, Biba Bande, Bundang's Abbey Isana.
Oh, no good board in the to share I agree with Habo. I mean, you come to the Danish share of Toruami Kabi, Chekasa Abdel Shell in Cheki Lama. Ungare is a sense of your shell and case of Sunakai, Yemen.
Mashallah.
I will Zonum, Dr. Yaku, Muno, Zupamba. The Zormamazon and Zorpia Day politics yet one. Mulanian Zopa, the Yaniva, the Nobalajo, Munia Muniu, or Ratin Tamar.
Yeah.
Zonum the Nishio.
Is it Muniru Limuna?
Muniru Limuna. Muno Mata Pukata Shell. Okumalam and Lamdom. This was I have down the opportunity to match school to come.
Yeah.
Party or I really cannot even party in the young and Tama. So 3 young in Yahweh Gupena.
Jinapo family.
Jinapo Endis. Kazayo Betty. Kazayo be PS. The more by the house. This all is a highly anti-Casulva. A highly anti-Casulva. A highly anti-Casulva. Yet on Sheldon Pumos, Mazan, and Bolia. In the other come to the Bank of Sukuka, and I will be to 30 pounds of Sukumas. The Indian Divas is here, the Bama to Mama. People and Babulan to Sukuka to Sobaka 1 minute. I use one that's one of a Canadian. To share so now we are the okay. Amahara will tell you to come in the box and so on. Yeah. There's all I politics over. There was something that we can't have as a young. Caroline to the banker man, and they need to call a Carapunia, so I be the car. There's all I know that I talk my Canada yet. To hurry and young the two, the year the real talk and nobody likes me. Because nobody tells you put it, tell them, by them bad canals. To family politics. John Mahama Yala, former vice president, former president of Mama Yala beats.
Wow.
In German, I will be Roshi, Yashi, I into Yapon Michel Gala, the Dana campaign, but my politics would through data. At to Michel to the Carabin, this woman is always have politics. To learn to people are one. But so baby. I know you Kaula can be to Carmen's out of Tosra. God be to Carmen's out of Tosra.
I comes on about Carmela and sang Yelamunashi.
Yes. You know, 2 minutes, 1 minute. Kaibita, Allah, Nisho, Yasu, Yakaso, Bill. Midiao will take us out with Tarakamiba. Kayana, those who have Suma, be assaulted. Amado no Manukunya Kima. I need a mamma, no can I use a can. In the to Polonia, can out that ship. The Una iron shall be higher than Tarai, which check out teacher Kamia flew not here.
Allah. So you talk about Wakala, I just wanted Nakan Namo, I seen Nam you in yellow. Son to Asian Namne, no Dabai, Katum to Shell, Kaswana, you Quaga, Kawato Tum, the Pergale, the Sala, Arab no you Quaga, the so. So the 20th day is our party to man. Let's come back to talking about management aid before we come into your political positions. Management aid is it still in existence?
It is, but not
as strong as it used to be. But this is something that I usually look at and I say it takes a lot of brains to come up with ideas like this nature. what was the motivation behind Management Aid?
Yeah, the first thing was that I've been brought up to always make sure that I make an impact on society. You know, incidentally, when I went into development programs, the first community that I visited, it's around Tampio. And I talked to them because at that time I was developing a project proposal and wanted to talk to some people at home. And when I got to the community and started, I was passing and I saw their school very bad. So I went to the community and I said, if they could do a building, you know, even a street building, then I will assist to finish the project for them and help them with finish. And they said they could. So I had a meeting with them. And then through a DT is a German Technical Development Corporation, I did a project. And then the community, when I told them who I was, one of the elders said, are you the son of Andani, who was one time but last year? He said, your father built our community the first borehole well. And so they took me and showed me the thing. Because my father worked with social welfare after being a teacher. He went to social welfare, later to Bureau of Ghana Language, and became a diplomat later. And so you see how things work. Then the second project I did was my village, where I was born. I was actually born in Pano when my father was Pana. I went, rehabilitated their classroom block, and then also provided them with furniture. And I told them I was doing that because that is where my placenta was buried. My placenta was buried in the soil. And so I was coming to give back to them. What actually motivated me was that coming from my home where I need to make an impact on society, I was looking around and I thought that, look, if I have the brains that can mobilize the resources to help my people reduce poverty, then that was good. But my main target was women, because they are most vulnerable. They are those who support us in schools. And so I thought that we should target widely. And in fact, when I wrote my proposal, the women rather attracted the donors more, so the funding was flowing. They needed support for women and support for youth. And I helped thousands and thousands of people.
For which the people of the North should be grateful to you. And really, it pains me a lot of the times when people like you have paid your dues to the northern people, and yet little is said about it. We wait until when you are long gone that we begin to eulogize you in depth. And it's painful for me and my team and Sagani TV in general. We cannot thank you enough for all the social works that you have done, because many more people would have used the opportunity you had. You are a rare gem. See, you had the opportunity to go to Denmark. You decided that, no, I wanted to rather go to Zimbabwe, simply because you wanted to gain some more knowledge to be able to impact on the lives of people. So we thank you, sir, for all that you have done for the North. If I had the opportunity, I would have done something monumental for you. But I hope and pray that maybe someday I'll be able to get that opportunity. Now, what was Management Aid all about? Was it about helping farmers? Was it about helping the void? Like what category of people did you help?
Yeah, Management Aid, we did a lot of projects to support women in microcredit. We supported the grain banking. And when we say grain banking, a situation where you buy the produce and then you store over a period and are able to sell. We also gave some credit, in the area so that women could depend on the credit. So when you go around some of the communities like Sensina in the Gonja area, Bumbalga, Wamale, you'll find remnants of some of the warehouses. Even there's still a warehouse in Sarapa. And then these warehouses, we supported people and then they could also store them. We also provided services in the area of water. In fact, my program rehabilitated a lot of wells and boreholes. Boreholes that were constructed by NORIP at the time that had gone bad and communities didn't have the resources. We rehabilitated a lot of them. We also adopted the Tindam Witches camp, which was in a very deplorable state. Through my program, we rehabilitated their homes, provided them clothing, and I built a KVIP. We built a KVIP toilet there, built a KVIP toilet in the German community, and we supported them over years and brought other collaborators on board. And the objective was to eventually set them free. And then we did it to that point but the community had also developed
Okay.
and looked more or less like a normal community. And so there was some comfort.
Okay.
I also have my regrets, to be very honest with you, that politics came to me as a call. If I have no regret, it's just because what God destines happens. But I think I got it wrong when I went to politics. I got it wrong because in development, we always had the perception that politicians were not targeting the vulnerable in society. I went into politics with the objective of influencing policy. That was mainly my objective. But when I got in there, the forces were stronger. And of course, I did a little. As I engaged the former president in meetings, I always told him, NGOs should be our friends, not our enemies. They talk about politicians when you are doing things wrong, because there are true things they talk about. But every government will identify an NGO as an enemy. Because as a development person, you say it as it is. And it has carried me through my politics. Sometimes I'm not popular with colleagues because I just don't take things the way you want me to say it. I say it as it is. So my regret is that I had the opportunity to work directly with those vulnerable in society. And I can assure you that I'm working around the clock to make management viable by my new position, because I'm working out to get funding, to train our people to have employable skills that can offer them jobs in the mining community.
So let's now creep into the political aspect of it. Where did your political career start?
You know, I must be honest with you that while I was doing it, I had a political eye as well. Because I remember I was traveling with the first secretary of the Danish embassy to inspect my project. In the conversation, I'm always real. Something came out of my mouth and I said, when I go into politics. Then he turned and asked me, Andani, do you want to go into politics? I said, yes, you know, it has come out. So that's what is in my mind. He kept quiet. So he asked me, so I therefore tailoring your projects, preparing you for that. I said, no, not necessarily, but it will come as a matter of course. Because community and people vote you. You know, so we laughed over it. But you see, when I went into it, I realized it wasn't that easy to affect policy. But I made an impact as a mayor. When I got there, they have their annual budget and they set targets. And so they had set a target. I looked at the way things were going. I was sitting and they brought me something for approval. And I asked, what was it? That to spend money. I said, okay, fine. I don't sign checks, but let me see your bank statement. They brought me 3 bank statements, all were in red. And I asked them, why do you have to? Oh, sir, it's normal for us to be in red every month. I said, not under my leadership. So I stopped. I didn't approve. So I decided to look at those at the revenue spots. So I asked my assembly to do a reshuffle of the revenue collected. They did and brought to me. And I took my pen and also did a random one, crossing the name. Because I didn't know anybody. And within 6 months, I exceeded, the collection exceeded the annual budget. It was also one of the things that encouraged the president to elevate me at the time. So it was my development approach that I used.
So being the mayor of Tamale was the first political appointment.
Yes, I got from president before. Yes.
Wow. Fast forward, you were elevated to the Northern Regional Minister, which unfortunately you did I think about 5 or 6 months.
About 6 or about 5.
And the unfortunate event in 2002 in Yendi came and you resigned. Now, I don't want us to talk about what happened in 2002, your role and whatever, because Dagbong has moved forward. And so we don't need to even open new wounds. But, you know, do you ever regret resigning as the regional minister then?
No, no regrets at all. No regrets at all. I'm a leader. I was in the saddle. I took responsibility for what happened. And that's what a leader must do. But I've been vindicated over time. The matter went through due diligence of a Supreme Court, not under the watch of my party, but a different party. The truth came out. So that even elevates me better. The only thing, my only regret is the casualties, is the deaths that occurred. And it's for everybody to feel sad about. It shouldn't have happened in this millennium. It did happen. But I always believe God knows better. We've gone past that. And I think that for now, it's time for the government to set an agenda for development. we must stay focused. We must work as a people.
Wow.
And God has shown us that it's come rightly.
Okay.
And then when we talk about that, I will definitely thank some personalities.
Okay.
I will thank Otu for his good leadership with the Nairi and the Yabonra.
Okay.
I also would thank former President Kufuor, and I would give big thanks to President Nana Donka Akufo-Addo,
Okay.
because he walked his talk.
Yeah.
God helped him walk the talk, and he's moved us to another level.
Okay.
And God has also made it possible for him to translate a find of a mineral in the northern region.
Wow.
That will move us to another level and move the economy to another level.
And that is what we are going to talk about next, right after this commercial break. There has been iron ore exploration in Sheni in the northern region, somewhere around Yendi's Abzu area. And soon enough, maybe, it's going to be extracted. And so Yendi is more likely going to be an economic zone. And I am proud to be a Yendarian. And we look forward to that. We go for a very quick commercial break. We are on Sagani TV, my Northern Achiever. I'm back shortly after, and we continue and conclude on this session. Every week, my team and I work tirelessly to bring to you prominent Northerners, one at a time. They tell us their stories of how they grew up, the struggles they have been through, and how they attained greater heights in life.
I used also to paint Ankara.
What didn't I say? I showed so many things.
Further, they give pieces of advice to the youth and parents alike that, if adhered to, will change society positively.
I job here. This only Bonle. I only Bonle. You couldn't buy.
It's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice.
Make another appearance. You check out the gender.
Now, you must trust in yourself. Believe in yourself. Have confidence in yourself. You must always pray for people to succeed in their various fields. Then Allah will give you what He thinks is best for you.
Wherever we find ourselves, let's see how do we support each other.
Young people must learn to spend within their means. And to grow, always think before you spend.
Quel que soit vice président, ministre, ou la
So, why not join me, Abdul-Jalil Naabeli, a son of Musa Kumo, with your family and friends every Friday at 8:30 p.m. on your favorite TV station, Sagani TV, on My Northern Achiever, as my guests and I thrill you to life-changing stories. Follow me on social media at Jalil Naabeli, like our Facebook page, and subscribe to our YouTube page, both at My Northern Achiever, for present and past videos, as well as more info. My Northern Achiever, time is money. Thank you so much for staying with me on My Northern Achiever on Sagani TV. My name is Abdul-Jalil Naabeli. I am a son of Musa Kumo, and my guest today is Alhaji Prince Imoro. And Andani. The prince is not just all of these princes that call themselves princes but are not royals. He's a royal from Vo. And in fact, we recently had in Yavona Saka, Alhaji Saka, on the program, and he did excellently well. And so I send greetings to you, Yavona, wherever you are. I know you are watching. Right. So we are back from the break, and let's talk a little more about the discoveries at Sheni. And thankfully, you are made the board chairman of the Ghana Integrated Iron and Steel Development Corporation. And I am sure this is under your jurisdiction. Is it only about the Sheni, or there are some other places that comes under your jurisdiction?
Yeah, the iron ore cuts across so many parts of the country. In fact, 2 weeks ago, the geological department did a presentation to my board.
Okay.
And it indicated that apart from Apafu, Pujo, and then Omanso, in addition to Shego, there are occurrences across the country. And when they say occurrences, it means that it's showing that in many parts of the country, We have it, so we are going to go further
and do the explorations and
do some more research, feasibility research,
okay.
and see that there are bankable projects. And so it cuts across the country. It's not just a northern region thing.
Okay.
We have the largest deposits.
Yeah.
And I believe we will not make any discovery anywhere more than what we have been shading.
Wow.
Yes.
So how long are we envisaging to be able to extract?
I'm told that somebody told me 100 years. I don't want to go that far. But I can say that God willing, between 50 and 70 years, we should be mining. Mining will still be going on in the area, according to what the experts have told me.
Wow. So what does this mean for the people of Dagbon and the North in general?
First of all, it will expand our economy. Two, it will offer jobs.
Wow.
You know, people will earn money and people will earn sustainable income.
Now, let's continue with the jobs issue. I'm told there's going to be an office created, I think, in Yendi.
Yeah.
When is that supposed to come?
In fact, you will be amazed. The office in Yendi is currently undergoing renovations.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So we are expecting to have people employed.
Sure.
I am from Yendi, so I would want to speak for my people. How many are we looking at, and what percentage of the employees are going to come from Yendi?
That's an interesting question.
Yes.
Maybe what I can say to you is that we will try to let employment cut across.
Okay.
And you know, as I said, I'm a born Dagomba, but I represent the northern
region.
Not even northern
region,
now, northern regions. So we will try to have a crossbreed of people. I would want that, because that would also ensure synergy, you know, unity amongst them. So definitely Yendi will have a good share.
I have a couple of jobless friends. Probably I'll present at least 3 names. This one is an invitation.
Can you imagine that of you on the high side for me? Because first of all, how many people are we putting there?
That's the thing.
That's the thing.
Yeah, sure.
Definitely, I mean,
yeah. All right. So now let's move away from there a little. Recently, the presidency or the government came up with the year of return. I have a big problem with it. It's been good. It's been great. But it's as though the North has been deliberately omitted. You know, the slaves, where did they start from? From the Salaga market, slave market. Yet, it has not been given that projection. We all hear about Baba too, who was one of the greatest slave capturers. And his tomb lies in Yendi. Yet, you know, it's as though there was no projection about the North. So all these visitors came and they were in just Accra, Cape Coast, Elmina, Accra, Cape Coast, Elmina. And, you know, for me, having the opportunity, I would want to ask you whether you saw this, and if you didn't, or if you did, what did you do as, you know, northern people up there to at least project the northern, you know, tourism to the rest of the world?
I think that's a good point. I will not belittle your view. It's important that we recognize these things. I probably can just say it's an omission.
Okay.
But I also want to say that we have a responsibility of packaging ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's why I started by saying that the northern elites must come together. You see, we have to package our place, and our place must be ready for the visitors. You are talking of Baba. To what extent have we influenced the tourism ministry to recognize it and put the right things? You have even talked of Baba. There's even the German armory in Yendi.
Yeah.
And maybe we have to take advantage of this to make sure that they don't even break the rule, because we need it. We have the German cemetery because we had the encounter. Incidentally, it happened in my great-great-grandfather's time when they had the encounter with the Germans. And so I agree with you, and I want to assure you, I'll speak to the Deputy Minister of Tourism, because it comes from our place. And we have to probably repackage it, and that correction will be done.
That's okay. All right, so now let me go into Facebook and WhatsApp. I have a couple of friends asking me some questions, and My good friend, in fact, he was supposed to be with us today, Ibrahim Najmuddin. He is my production manager. He's saying that there are a lot of young people who look up to people like you, and that we would have loved to have, people like you closer to us, so that we can always tap from you and develop ourselves. How accessible are you to the outside world, especially northern youth?
I think I'm very accessible.
Okay.
I can say that amongst my colleagues. If I'm not the most accessible, then I'll be surprised. And a couple of times, students from the north have invited me, and I've spoken to them. I did it in Lagos, I did it in UDS. In UDS, my topic was about leadership, and I did so. I'm always open.
Okay.
And for many years, I've hosted students from universities in my house for our two major festive times.
Okay.
Until when my wife had to temporarily relocate in Tamale to take care of their mother, who is now passed on.
Okay.
We did it, and we always get the northern students around. So I'm open. My doors are always flung open, and they can always have me. My children are also young. Some of them are their colleagues.
Okay.
My nephew is also seated.
Okay.
So they can always tap into any of them, and they can have access.
And then I have another question from Dini Nash. Dini Nash wants to know what your biggest achievement had been as a regional minister in that short period. I think this is going to be difficult, but he's asked
It's going to be difficult, but maybe my biggest achievement was that I brought discipline to the
RCC
Coordinating Council.
Okay.
Because everybody was alert.
Okay.
People reported to office because they knew I was always an early man.
Okay.
But maybe you haven't asked that. I'll tell him that I think I made a more significant impact as a mayor, even though the period was short.
Yeah.
When I got in as a mayor, we had just one traffic light or so.
Okay.
Before I left, I had done about 3 or so traffic lights.
Okay.
I also got the Jubilee Park tarred because I recognized that they did eat prayers there.
Okay.
And then I got urban roads to tie a lot of roads in Tamale before I left.
Wow.
And I also improved the revenue, as I told you.
No wonder you were elevated quickly to be in the regional
as
minister.
As a regional minister, you are more in a coordinating role.
Yeah.
But even when I was in regional office there, I remember in a certain month, I had to give my office a check to fuel our vehicles. These were monies I never took when I was leaving as a regional minister.
From your own pocket?
From my own pocket, because I wanted to go right.
Wow.
So, and my office was open. I was always meeting.
So up to now, they still owe you?
Oh yeah, but it's something. And even as coordinating director, I got management aid to fund them to fuel our trucks to clear garbage. So it's normal to me somehow in my life.
Now let's come back to talk a little more about your life before we conclude on this session. I would usually love to know the life principles of my guests because these are things that are important, and not too many youth today have life principles. And that is why you see us being so much more wayward than you people were in your youthful age. So what 2-3 life principles have you taken as youth and as a person?
One of the main things is honesty.
Okay.
And then impartiality. Whenever I'm torn between judgment,
wow.
Quran says justice.
Wow.
Justice is what I've always done justice. And so sometimes I fall out with my very close friends because I'll look at an issue and give the pick an objective position. And every young Dagomba in the North knows it has happened through chieftaincy, through politics. I'm somebody who does things just the way I think, and it will be tested over time. So one of the principles is honesty. The other principle is that I'm not partisan when it comes to social work.
Yeah.
When I have to help develop people, as much as I can, I try to stay my balance.
I think it falls back to that impartiality you're talking about.
The other thing is that despite my background, coming from a royal family where they know that religious principles are weak, mine is different. And if I never become a chief before I die, it's because I don't want to do anything that contradicts Islam.
No.
These are the three major things that hold me in life.
Wow. I think we have enjoyed every bit of the conversation with you, but we can't take leave of you without seeking your advice to the youth in particular. Generally, right about now, whoever is watching, what would be your advice and final words, so to speak, on the show?
I think what I have to say to every young person is that God has created everybody with a value, and everybody is rich in a certain sense. But because the general focus is all about money, when a young guy is not rich, then he thinks he's poor. Poverty has several lines. If you are poor and you don't have money, be disciplined. Work hard when you are rich, yes, and spend within your means. Young people must learn to spend within their means. And to grow, always save before you spend. Don't save your balance. The first item in your budget should be your savings.
Wow.
And then the balance left is what you should spend from. That's the only way you can also make progress financially.
Wow.
The other thing is that we should go back to our cultural values. Let's respect the elderly.
Okay.
Let's feel for each other. We lived a communal life. Historically, if you lived in a village, your neighbor didn't have to tell you they didn't have food.
Okay.
If you didn't see smoke,
you would know.
You would know. And quietly, they will send maize or some food stuff at night to give to them. So even the other neighbors would not know they were supported. So I think that one of the things is that you can only develop, we pick the best practices in our traditions. Okay. And those that would not conform with globalization, you drop that.
Wow.
In as long as they also don't contradict your principles of religion. Because as for religion, it's always alive. The principles of religion are alive today, they will be alive tomorrow, and they are alive during the day of judgment.
I can't even try to live without talking about our great mother. You know, you married very early. You know, how did early marriage help you, and how has our mother been supportive to getting you transferred? Because they say that behind every successful man,
there's a strong, a good woman.
Yeah,
that is very true. You know, I married very early. You know, when you marry very early, you are inexperienced. And my wife was even much younger because my wife was then just about 18.
Okay.
I couldn't miss marrying her. One of the things was that as a young person, I was very shy. I was a shy person as I began life.
Okay.
But when I came across my woman, she was one woman I wanted to be my friend all the time. I just needed her around me. You know, and even when I mentioned to my father that I had a fiancé, he was shocked. Because
you were very shy.
He saw me shy. He also saw me as a guy who was going to spend so much time on books.
Okay.
So he was afraid that would affect me. But he then also said that yes, it didn't matter. I just needed to plan my life.
Okay.
My wife too was very supportive. In fact, she's highly industrious.
Okay. She's
been a very good housewife.
Okay.
And she's disciplined. And I also try to bring her up to my standard. You know, I've traveled across the world with her.
Okay.
She's had the exposure.
Okay.
And she's raised our children very well.
Okay.
And one thing that I never forget was my third son, who had about 80% nerves. And then a white sister friend told me the boy was likely to grow with deformity, or he was likely to get an infection, because even when it happened in Europe, it didn't work out. But my wife managed with the nurses. The guy is still in France. He didn't have any deformity. He survived the nerves.
Wow.
No infection.
Wow.
Which was difficult. Even though my white sister friend told me there was no way when you managed, but he didn't have to.
Well, so we can only say thank you, Mama, for making Alhaji one of the rare gems that we can find here in the North. Alhaji, thank you very much for passing through. We are very grateful. And thank you so much, sir.
Tell my little story.
Thank you, sir. And folks, this is where time is going to allow us today. We have been with Alhaji Prince Imoro Andani. He was a former Northern Regional Minister, and he is now the board chairman of the Ghana Integrated Iron and Steel Development Corporation. Thank you so much for doing the monitoring. My greetings and salutations to the management of Sagani TV, and everyone watching right about now. Thank you for making my Northern Achiever the best in the country. My name is Abdul-Jalil Naabeli. I am a son of Musa Kumo, and till I come your way next week. Bye-bye.